Any of you here for Shabbos?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Maybe we'll have a minyan. I think there are 3 Shalom Zachars in town, in this empty town of everyone going on vacation. There's going to Kanai Nahar, a lot of simchas. Okay. And a bar mitzvah. Yeah.
Yeah, another one.
Yeah. Mazel tov.
Another.
Yeah. All right. We should continue to share simchas. Good news. And everyone should have safe travels wherever they go, whether you're leaving before Shabbos or after Shabbos. Right now we need Siyata D'Shmaya to travel to Kosher World, so
traveling there is okay. Getting a parking space is the whole different story.
You should see Queens. Okay. Yeah, there's something incredible. This Shabbos is the Shabbos of the Shiras Hayam, of the song that Klal Yisrael sang when they crossed the Yam Suf. And it wasn't just a song about the splitting of the Yam Suf. Chazal call the splitting of the Yam Suf Gemar Geulasam, the ending of the Geula. So really it was like the grand finale of the entire plan of Geula was the Kriyas Yam Suf. And the songs and the words that Klal Yisrael said were very, very, very central to their identity, because this was it, the forming of Klal Yisrael, right? This coming out of Mitzrayim formed that Klal Yisrael that a short while later stood at Har Sinai and was makabel their mission for history. So there was an incredible, incredible moment, and we wouldn't be surprised to discover in that song references to very broad things that have to do with who we are as Jews. Because this was the song about we were created. HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought us out of Mitzrayim and crossed split the Yam Suf and destroyed the Mitzrayim that were chasing us and formed this nation. So who are we? Read the Shiras Hayam. In fact, there's a Mishnah Berurah brings a Chazal that someone who says the Shiras Hayam every day, Hashem forgives all his averos. That's a good deal. It's a good deal. People do, Perek Shira, Shira Shira. You could just do Shiras Hayam. It sounds like it's pretty powerful. I shouldn't say just. So I want to focus in on one pasuk in the Shira that doesn't really seem to have anything to do with Yetzias Mitzrayim. And that is at the very, very end of the song, Klal Yisrael says, Machain l'shivtecha pa'alta Hashem. A dwelling place for you created, Hashem. Where's Hashem's dwelling place? The Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash, the place here. The Beis HaMikdash. Machain is like a resting place. Like a place that's established. We have the word machon, right? It's like it's a established place. So Rashi says, Al Tikri. So first of all, Bechlal, like why are we talking about the Beis HaMikdash here? The Beis HaMikdash was far off. But Rashi says, Al Tikri Machain Ella Mechuvan. Don't read it Machain, like a resting place. Read it Mechuvan, which means like parallel. Like opposite, like connected to. Why? Because there's an interesting thing about the Beis HaMikdash, that the Beis HaMikdash, there's not just one Beis HaMikdash. There actually, when Mirza Hashem and the Beis HaMikdash is rebuilt, there's 2 Beis HaMikdashes. You know that? There's a Beis HaMikdash in Yerushalayim, and there's a Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim above the Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim, in Yerushalayim. And Chazal tells Mechuvan, they're parallel to each other. The Beis HaMikdash Shel Mata, the Beis HaMikdash down here on this world, is Mechuvan, it's paralleled right underneath the Beis HaMikdash Shel Maila, the Beis HaMikdash above. What's the point? What does that mean, and what's the point? And what does it have to do with the Shiras Hayam? So it's interesting. Let's rewind. I'm using the words, Let's rewind back to the beginning of the Shira. Klal Yisrael says, and you have to feel like a chill that, when you say these words. Klal Yisrael says, Zeh Keli ve'anvehu. Zeh Keli, this is my Hashem. Ve'anvehu, and I will beautify him. You realize what that means? When we by the Pesach Seder, when we say matzah zu sha'anu oichlem, what do we do then? We point to the matzah, right? That's why when we say Pesach, we don't point, because we don't have a korban Pesach. When we say marar zeh sha'anu oichlem, what do? We point to the marar. So what happens when you say zeh keli, this is my Hashem? Klal Yisrael saw some revelation, some expression of Malchus Shamayim on a level that was never before or after in history experienced. Okay, that's unbelievable. And what did they say? They said, Zeh Keli, this is my Hashem. Mind-boggling, right? Can you imagine what that's like? An experience of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Nevi'im had that. Yeshaya HaNavi, Yecheskel HaNavi. They had these experiences where they saw the entourage of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And every single Jew, man, woman, and child, older person, younger person, no matter what, and they were slaves not long before. They were slaves. They barely knew that Hashem existed. And now they're standing by Har Sinai and they're like, that's Hashem! Ve'anvehu. What does ve'anvehu mean? 3 explanations. Explanation number 1, I will make him beautiful. How do we make Hashem beautiful? We can't make Hashem beautiful. We can't improve on Hashem, chas v'shalom. So ve'anvehu means that we serve him in a beautiful way. We set our Shabbos table beautifully. We make our sukkah decorated. We use a beautiful menorah when we light the menorah. We do mitzvahs with beauty. That's ve'anvehu. That's one explanation. The other explanation is ani vehu. Anvehu. Ani vehu. Me and him. What does that mean? What do you mean, me and him? Oh, the anvehu means, and I will be like him. We have a mitzvah called v'halachta b'drachav, which is an obligation to be like Hashem. We have a mitzvah to be like Hashem. Just like Hashem is compassionate, we're compassionate. Just like Hashem is truthful, we're truthful. Just like Hashem is kind and giving and loving, we're also kind and giving and loving. To be like Hashem. Ve'anvehu. Now, stop for a second and try to imagine the thought process here, okay? I actually never had this chus to meet Reb Chaim Kanievsky in his lifetime. But I've seen many pictures and videos of people meeting him. I'm imagining to myself, you've seen that, right? I'm imagining to myself walking into his house in Bnei Brak, and he's sitting by the table with his shtender, and he's learning, and I walk over, and he looks up at me, and I see this Gadol Hadar that finishes the entire Torah every year. He's so gecheshbent in his finishing the entire Torah every year that when there are 2 Adars, he uses the extra month to write a sefer. So the whole Klal Yisrael knew for his entire lifetime, this is a real thing, that every time there was an Ibriya or every time there were 2 Adars, a sefer would be coming out from Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Did you know that? His entire life, every time there were 2 Adars, he wrote a sefer. Because he had a month extra, because he already finished Shas Bavli and Shas Yerushalmi and all the Midrashim and Tanakh and Mishnayos, and he already finished all of those things, and Shulchan Aruch and Torah and Rambam and all the things that there are to do. So during the extra month, he wasn't going to sit around, he wrote a sefer. Okay? That's a person who's living life on a level that we cannot comprehend. Do you agree? Do you think your first thought upon meeting Reb Chaim Kanievsky would be like, oh, I'm going to be like him? Do you think that would be the first thought crossing your mind? My first thought would be like, he's a giant. I'm an infant. I'm nothing. Like, it's a schus to just be standing in the room with him. Right? Now, try to imagine not meeting Reb Chaim Kanievsky, meeting Hashem. Do you think the first thought that you would have would be, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I should be like him? Is that what you think? What's Anveyu, Anivahu? What are you thinking? Do you have like a God complex? What's Anivahu? It's mind-boggling. Why do you think you should be like him? That's the second explanation of the Anveyu. There's a third explanation. The word Nove means a home. The Anvehu means I will build him a home. The Targum Onkelos says, the Evne Loi Beis Makdisha, and I will build for him a Beis HaMikdash. How did that happen again? How did the Beis HaMikdash find itself again in the Shira? I will beautify him. I will be like him. And I will build him a Beis HaMikdash. How does that follow? So I want to tell you what's going on here. And I want to explain how what's going on here is not just an academic explanation of a few psukim in the Shira, although for that alone it is worth it, because it's beautiful, it's Anveyu, but it's also life-changing and important and inspiring to focus on. You know why when Klal Yisrael saw Hashem, they said, I'm going to be like him? Because when they saw Hashem, you know that Hashem can't be seen, right? There's nothing to see. Hashem doesn't have anything that's possible to see. When we say to see Hashem, we don't mean with their eyes, obviously. Physical eyes can't see Hashem. It means they perceived Hashem, right? That's obvious, right? How do you perceive Hashem? Well, Hashem has many different attributes, and they perceived those attributes of Hashem, right? That's obvious, right? So, here's the thing, that we were created in the image of Hashem. When Hashem created us, He said, Naaseh Adam b'tzalmeinu kidmuseinu. We were created b'tzelem Elokim. We were created in the image of Hashem. If Hashem doesn't have an image, how can we be created in His image? You ever had that question? What does it mean? Anyone? What does it mean to be created in the image of Hashem? There's no image. So what it means to be created in the image of Hashem means that Hashem has certain midos. And we were created with parallel abilities. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the ability to do things, and on a very small scale, tiny scale, we were created with koiches, with abilities to do things that are similar to Hashem. Hashem builds worlds. We have the ability to build worlds. We have the ability to build our inner world. And so on, and many examples, and all the midas of Hashem. Hashem brings love and kindness and beauty and chen to this world, and we have the ability to bring those things into this world, right? So we have, when Klal Yisrael saw Hashem, they recognized themselves. They said, what I'm perceiving is an unbelievably tremendous version of me. I have some of those midas. You know, the teachers in the room could appreciate, sometimes you have a kid in your class, and then you meet the mother, right? And when you meet the mother, you're like, oh my gosh, that's so her mother, right? It's like if you didn't know, okay, in our community, we all know each other, so you don't have it that much. But like sometimes you meet, and it's just like, oh my goodness, that is a 30-year older version of this kid. It's just amazing. Sometimes not. Sometimes you're like, I think I better meet the father, But sometimes, isn't it true? Sometimes you meet the mother, you're like, wow, this is this kid, bigadol. When Klal Yisrael perceived Hashem, they were like, this is us, bigadol. And they understood, why did Hashem create me in a way that I'm like a reflection of Him? Obviously, He wants me to imitate Him. So ve'anveyu ani v'hu, I will be like Him. Makes sense, right? What that means is that we have a lifelong journey of trying to match up ourselves with the midas of Hashem. Hashem's midas are perfect. We will never be perfect. But we have a lifelong journey of trying to improve ourselves to become more and more and more like Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shamayim has all of these beautiful midas. The Zoom keeps going off, I apologize. HaKadosh Baruch Hu in Shamayim has all of these midas, and that's like the vision in Shamayim of our roadmap. And then we have what to measure ourselves against. Hashem is Rachum. I have to be Rachum. Hashem is Chanun. I have to be Chanun. Hashem is slow to anger. I have to be slow to anger. Hashem is Emes. I have to be Emes. Right? There's this matching up. Isn't that similar to the Beis Hamikdash Shel Mata and the Beis Hamikdash Shel Maila? Isn't that similar that there's a Beis Hamikdash in Shamayim? There's a place of serving Hashem in Shamayim. And the Beis Hamikdash that we build, our attempt is to match up with the image in Shamayim of a Beis Hamikdash. You know where there's a similar thing? It's a fascinating, inspiring thing. In the end of Parshas Vayetze, when Yaakov is leaving the house of Lavan, and he makes it almost to Eretz Yisrael, so it says that he met Malachim. Everyone knows about the Malachim that he saw in his dream when he was leaving his father's house, right? The ladder, the Malachim going up and down. We all know about that. But some people are not aware that on his way back, he also met Malachim. Vayifga boi Malachei Elokim. He met Malachim. What did he call that place that he met the Malachim? Someone know? Machanayim. Machanayim. He called that place Machanayim because of the camps of Malachim. And the Ramban says an amazing thing. The truth is, camps, plural, is machanois. Machanayim is more like a set of two. Like we have oznayim, because we have two ears, it's a set of two. Einayim, we have two eyes. If it was just multiple eyes, it would be einos. But we don't have multiple eyes. We have a set of two. So it's einayim. We have raglayim, yodayim. Right? Whenever the things that we have two, that's like a set of two. So what's machanayim? Says the Ramban that Yaakov Avinu built his machane, that it paralleled the machane in Shamayim that served Hashem. Just like the Malachim in Shamayim have this whole entourage serving Hashem, there was a set, two camps. The camp in Shamayim and the camp of Yaakov Avinu that he built. But isn't that the same idea? That he built his life in this world in a way that it should reflect the roadmap in Shamayim. So that's Machanayim. Same thing with Beis Hamikdash Shel Mata is mechuven keneged the Beis Hamikdash Shel Maila. It's a roadmap for us. How they serve Hashem in Shamayim, we try to live up to that on this world. And that's why when we say Ani V'hu, it also means we will build a Beis Hamikdash, because building a Beis Hamikdash is also that process of trying to reflect what's going on in Shamayim. Now there's a little interesting statement that Rav Hutner once said. I found it actually in a second place this week. I always knew of one place where it was written down, but I found that they put out, when Rav Hutner was nifter, they put out a Sefer HaZikaron, which a lot of times when a tzaddik is nifter, they put out a Sefer called the Sefer HaZikaron, which is a Sefer that's put out in memory of this tzaddik, and there's a lot of things in it that have nothing to do even with the tzaddik. They just use it as an opportunity to put out like old manuscripts of different tzaddikim or divrei Torah that are not in any, in any sefer. So they put out this Sefer HaZikaron, and they also put in a lot of history and divrei Torah from Rav Hutner. This whole history of his life and this whole like appreciation and analysis of his life. Very, very interesting. And it was recently translated into English, by the way. And then many years later, they put out the Sefer HaZikaron without all the extra stuff, just the stuff about Rav Hutner and by Rav Hutner. And when they put that out, they added a few pages. And this is one of the added pages, what I'm about to tell you. They added this point that Rav Hutner said that just like the Beis HaMikdash has a Beis HaMikdash in this world, and it also has a Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim, each one of us also has our Beis HaMikdash in this world and our Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim. What's our Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim? Have you been to your Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim? What is that? So he said a fascinating thing. He said your Beis HaMikdash in Shamayim are your hopes and aspirations. What you want for yourself. Just like the Beis HaMikdash Shamayim is the image in Shamayim of what we're trying to build down here. Just like Yaakov Avinu's camp was a camp down here trying to reflect what's up there. Your up there is what your goals are for yourself. And a Yid that's serving Hashem has goals for himself or for herself. Things that we want. We want to serve Hashem better. We want to be better people. We want to be maybe happier servants of Hashem. We want to be maybe more vibrant servants of Hashem. Maybe we want to be calmer or more patient servants of Hashem. Each one of us has our aspirations. Your Beis HaMikdash and Shamayim are the things that you so much want for yourself. And you build your Beis HaMikdash down here. That's your life down here. In a way that reflects your Beis HaMikdash and Shamayim. So if you decide that a certain value is super, super, super important to you, that's your Beis HaMikdash and Shamayim. And over your life, you'll be drawn to build on that Maila because we're drawn to build in this world what's in our Beis HaMikdash al Maila. Am I making sense? So that's a very powerful idea that comes out of this Shira. It's a very, very, very important thing to know. Because sometimes, when we're young, some of us have goals. Not everyone. Some of us have goals. Girls will leave seminary and be thinking that year, the end of the year, they'll be thinking to themselves, okay, I'm going back to America, those that are in Eretz Yisrael. What do I want? What's in my future? What do I want for myself? I'm sure many people here went through that type of thought process at some time in our lives. Boys, the same thing. Let's say when they're in Shidduchim, or they're planning their future, or they're maturing at a certain point, they start to think about, what do they want? When I say what do they want, I don't mean what kind of job they'll have. I don't mean where they'll live. I don't mean how much money they'll make. I mean what kind of person they want to be. What kind of Erlich Yid they want to be. What kind of servant of Hashem they want to be. And unfortunately, a lot of times as life goes on, we start forgetting to do renovations on our Mikdash al Maila. We start forgetting to care for our hopes and aspirations. Because life hits and somehow never goes exactly the way we planned it. I'm saying exactly. It never goes at all the way we planned it. And we end up dealing with life's challenges. And when we're dealing with life's challenges, sometimes we forget to go back and to think about who we want to be. Because what we want to do is not up to us. What kind of life that we're going to lead is not up to us. But who we want to be, that is up to us. But it's something that we have to keep working on. And that's, I think, a chizuk of Parshas B'Shalach, is to spend a little time up there in the Mikdash Shel Maila. Not to forget, even as we mature and go through life, not to forget to ask ourselves, who do I want to be? What kind of a person do I want to be? What's my goal? What midas do I crave to add to my repertoire of midas? What midas do I want to work on to vanquish and to minimize in my life because they're taking up too much space in my life? To have that image. You know what it does what happens when you do that? When you do that, what happens is you start getting drawn in that direction. You start, we all have this, and Reb Tzaddik describes this. Every once in a while, a person has, I'll use this example, there are different examples of it, but every once in a while a person has an amazing, amazing day. Every once in a while that happens, right? Even in the regular life of days, every once in a while, maybe it's a Yom Kippur, maybe it's a Yantif, or maybe it's just a regular day that just went right. It went the way we planned it, and when we davened well, and when we spent time with our children, the conversations just went instead of what happens on the other days. And when we had to deal with different challenges, we found the strength to deal with them, and we were just proud of the day, right? It does happen sometimes. We have days like that. And when that happens, we get a glimpse of who we could be when we're on our A game. And then life goes back to regular. It gets cloudy again. But every once in a while, the Reb Tzaddik says, every once in a while Hashem is megale la'adam. Hashem reveals to a person what he's able to be. Every once in a while, maybe it's an hour, but every once in a while you have this wow, that's me in the best version of myself. Wow. And then life goes back to regular, and we get annoyed, and all the other things happen. So why does Hashem make those amazing times? To rub it in? No, Hashem makes those amazing times so that we can know where we can go, so that we can know what we could be, to yearn for and to want who we could be on our best day. Many, many years ago, about 30 years ago, I came up with this mashal that those days when you just the lights turn on for a second and suddenly the day is just going right and we're doing things right and we're interacting with people the way we should and we feel close to Hashem, we feel Hashgacha Pratis, just the day just starts to go. That's equivalent of, anyone ever do any mountain climbing? I never did, but anyone? Okay, we have to get out there. Anyway, they say, apparently, when people go mountain climbing, so they don't just climb the mountain. They use ropes. And the ropes have a hook, like a multi-pronged hook on the end of them. Right? Does this make sense to you? And they throw, nowadays we can look everything up. We can see that, A grappling hook. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And they throw the hook up to the next ledge or to some higher point until it grabs a hold of something, and they tug it and tug it and tug it to make sure it's really, really, really secure. And then they use that rope to climb up to the next level. Right? Mm-hmm. The rope is the great day. When I'm at a moment, it could be at a Shuir, it could be a middle of a Shemoneh Esrei, it could be at just a very, very pivotal moment. It could be a middle of Yom Kippur davening. It could be while the Chazan is singing your favorite song on Rosh Hashanah. But there's just a moment of full clarity. Then that's when you threw the rope. And it grabbed onto something higher. Are you now higher? No. But you made a grip on something higher. You're holding on to something higher. Now you can climb there. Now you have a path to get there. Because you've seen it, because you've experienced it. And that becomes our Mikdash Shel Maila. That's the Beis HaMikdash above that we try to build towards, that we try to make our Beis HaMikdash down here reflect that image up there. And it's very, very, very important to do this in a mature and intelligent way. Because if we push ourselves and expect ourselves, and please, I'm saying please to everyone who's listening, whether you're here or on Zoom or listening to a recording in 4 years from now, please listen to this point, okay? People sometimes have that great day, and you know what they end up doing? They bash themselves every other day afterwards that they couldn't have that great day again. That's what they do. Instead of using that great day as an inspiration to inspire me about who I can be, I use it to accuse myself and to convict myself for not being that person every single day. And that's a big mistake, because we are not perfect. And we have a journey to go on. And we have to go step by step in our lives. And Baruch Hashem, we're growing people. And we're moving slowly and surely closer to Hashem. But we have to know that it's a journey. And that means that when that great day comes, when you daven that amazing Shemona Esrei, what I'm worried about you is that you're going to finish Shemona Esrei. Oiseh Shalom B'Roimov, V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu, V'al Kol Yisrael, V'yimru Amen. I should be davening like this always. Don't say that. Say, this was an amazing experience. Amir Hashem, one day I will daven like this always. Be careful not to use your Mikdash Shel Maila as a gun that's facing you. Because then you're not going to use it in its powerful sense. You're going to use it to crush you. And that's a very important thing. That we have our great times. We have our times that we're inspired and focused and we're just in our best place. That's an incredible experience to have. When that passes and it gets cloudy again, then we have to say, okay, that was amazing. Now I know what I can work towards. And not criticize ourselves every single day that we're not able to be that parent that finds just the right words to encourage our child while not criticizing, that whole trying to get everything right there, to try to say the right words at the right time. Yeah, sometimes it's amazing. Most of the times, we're doing the best we can. And when the sometimes comes, that's amazing. We have to use it as part of our Mikdash Shel Maila. It's part of our dreams. Sometimes HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a glimpse of who we can be. I have this with giving shir. When I'm in yeshiva and I'm giving shir or speaking, I have this every once in a while. I give a speech that is like, wow, I wish every speech was like this. And I know that it becomes, and Baruch Hashem, I'm growing out of it, but it becomes an incredible pressure the next shir. Do you know what I mean by that? Like you give a shir and amazing. Light bulbs going on. The teachers in the room know what I mean. The kids are focused. They're smiling when I say things. It's intoxicating, no? And then the next day, they're out to lunch. They're not there. What happened to yesterday? And it took a little bit of growing up to learn how to be patient. Like every once in a while is going to be that great day. But life is not like that. Life is about dealing with the challenges. So this is the balance, I think, that we need for Parshas Beshalach. The balance we need for Parshas Beshalach is to not give up. Not to kol zman she'haneshama b'kirbi, as long as we are alive, to allow ourselves to have access to our Mikdash Shel Maila. Never to stop growing. Never to stop believing that we could be bigger. Never to stop believing that we could be stronger servants of Hashem. And to think about what that means for me. And what does that look like for me? And maybe you meet someone. Maybe there's someone in your family, where some of us are going on vacation. Maybe there's someone in your family, or maybe you have a friend, or maybe you have a teacher from the past, or someone who so thoroughly inspires you. And when you're with them, you could think I'll never amount to anything. Or you could think of, that's what I want. And let that be an inspiration and a plan for the future. That midah, I love that midah. and I'm going to let it affect me. Because you know what we do? As human beings, we're drawn to the things that we admire. We're just drawn to it. We imitate the things that we admire without trying to. So if we could focus on how much we want certain things, how badly we want a certain type of life, a certain life of bitachon in Hashem, the joy of being able to just say, I'm good, Hashem is taking care of me. The joy of living that life. If we want it badly and we visualize it and we admire it in the people that we respect, we will be drawn there. And that's what I think is something for us to focus on this Shabbos, and I'll end with the idea that the Mikdash Shel Maila Mechuvin Keneged the Mikdash Shel Mata, or Klal Yisrael saying, I'll be like Hashem, is because there's a tzura ruchnis, there's a ruchniistic image in Shemayim that we try to draw ourselves closer to. But to realize that in our personal lives, there also is something in Shemayim, and that Shemayim is here, where we think about and we feel what we would like for ourselves. Not in life. Hashem doesn't always provide us the paycheck that we would like, and so on and so forth. I mean in our hearts what we would like for ourselves. And that's a dream that we never give up on. And then to appreciate the times that we could draw a little closer to that. And instead of using it as a way to criticize ourselves, to use it as a way to encourage ourselves. Well, I could do that sometimes. That gives me a hope that one day I'll be able to do it most of the time. Because I tasted that midah. I was able to appreciate that. I was on fire that day. And that means that it's in me somewhere. Like Reb Tzaddik says, sometimes Hashem reveals to us what we can be. And to use that. So to keep the vision, to keep working in our Mikdash Shel Maila, and then to slowly but surely, without kindness on ourselves, and with tremendous patience with ourselves, but allow ourselves to be drawn to that which our hearts desire, to be drawn to that life of such joy and such accomplishment. And Hashem should give us all the clarity and the siyata d'shmaya to be able to draw closer and closer to Him. Yashikayach, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you stop it.